The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf.
We did better understand what was controlling it, what direction it was going to, and we had that model so that when we did step out, we knew what we were looking for. And we in fact found a lot more of it as we moved out in that direction, but it was because we understood how it was forming and what it was going to look like when we got there, which made it a lot easier.
All right, welcome back inside our Proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Chris Frostad. He's the CEO of Purepoint Uranium Group. And Chris, it's good to see you. How are you?
Good to be here. Yeah, I'm doing really well right now. It's we're getting out of the winter time, and things are looking a little sunnier right now here in Toronto.
Yeah, and you've a bit sunny on the work as well. And we'll talk about that just a second and sort of put some context together on what's been happening. But for those not familiar, maybe just give me a bit of background on the company.
Well, sure. PurePoint is a uranium exploration company. We operate out of northern Saskatchewan, where all of Canada's uranium comes from. And primarily, we're working with some fairly significant partners up there. We have joint ventures with Cameco, with Orano, with ISOEnergy on a variety of projects. Most recently, we've been following up on a project called Dorado, which is a joint venture with ISOEnergy.
Mhm. And so you've been lucky enough to make a discovery there, and I want to ask you a bit about discovery because I think that's something that we hear a lot about and people may not sort of connect with. But in your case specifically, it showed some potential. Maybe is a great way to describe it.
Well, it always does. I mean, when you realize that most of the drilling that goes on in northern Saskatchewan, from an exploration standpoint, comes up with no uranium. When you do find some uranium, and it doesn't have to be much, but if it's something meaningful and it can be attached to a system that would allow it to consolidate, if you will, then it's a discovery, and it really needs to be followed up on.
Yeah. And how does the follow-up portion happen? Because I think people think, oh, we've got a discovery, so everything's going to be great. But it's really the next steps are really the most important as you continue down the road.
Well, that's true. I mean, the discovery, if you want to call it a discovery, is really the first part. The real work happens after the fact. And once you've identified something significant or something anomalous, if you will, from a uranium standpoint, the next thing you really need to do is determine that it's repeatable. And that is to say, we're not going to keep poking a hole into a deposit here. We need to understand a lot more about it before we continue on, because we're chasing a hole that was made with a drill the size of my arm, kind of thing, and we really need to expand on that. So, by calling it repeatable, that's so we can hit it again. And so what you will typically see after that first hole or two is that you want to start moving out from it and really understand it a little bit more. You want to, we've seen a lot of people, they'll drill a hole, it'll be, interesting uranium mineralization, they'll drill another hole, don't see anything, and they move on. When in fact, what you should be doing is drilling another 3, 4 holes. You want to drill above it, below it, beside it, left and right, and better understand the nature of that, what it is, and that, again, you're going to be able to hit it again.
Mhm.
Uh,
Um, Chris, I know that even before you take that first drill hole in there or ones after that, like you said, is it repeatable? There's a lot of work that has to happen outside of that as well. And it really sort of puts to the point the importance of modern technology. And you've been in the game a long time, so you understand where things were, where they are now. How
mhm.
important is technology within the business that you do?
Well, we use there's a lot of geophysics that go on because uranium is invisible to geophysics. So
Yeah.
we can't just run a survey over the ground and figure out where this stuff is. We have to look for other indications as to where it could possibly be sitting in deposition. So you're looking for rock type, you're looking for changes, you're looking for structure, and the things that are going to control it. And so there is a lot of geophysics that go on prior to drilling a hole, because we're not just prospecting with a drill bit. But once you do start drilling, then you can actually start putting all of this together, which, and again, once you've made your discovery, you need to start consolidating that information back to the geophysics so that you can better understand what all those colorful maps mean. Because the next thing you really need to do is understand what controls it. It's not enough to know that it's there. You need to know why it was there. So you want to know what the structural controls were, what other rock types were in play, where this came from and how you're going to find more of it moving forward.
Is that part of that making sort of a model of the land and what you're seeing on the drilling and the geophysics side, and also potentially what maybe people around you have seen as well?
Well, absolutely. You're always taking into account what you can find out about the neighbors and other things you've done. But some of these things can travel quite a distance. So, once you've kind of got an idea of what's controlling it and why it is, you want to vector it and you want to understand what direction it's heading. So you can line up a few things and start to draw some lines and do some bigger step outs. You'll reconcile that with the geophysics to say if I've got something that looks like it's going in this direction, if I now jump out 400 meters or 800 meters or whatever you're going to do and hit it again, then I know that I can draw a line between those two, and now I've got something I can continue to hit with and follow and chase. And if I go out that far and I find what I'm looking for, I can draw that line. If there's no mineralization there, then I'll move back closer to where I found it the first time. And if there's more, I'll move in the other direction. But you need to, at that point, start eliminating directions you don't want to be going in and start to draw that bigger map as to what you can chase.
Yeah, and as a lot of people may understand that sometimes that can be on a small portion of a really large land package as well, and there has to be a starting point, and sometimes that could be a one portion of a property, not the entire property, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But sometimes those smaller hits, when you understand them and you understand the controls and the direction, they can act as a template for what you're going to find. We saw this on our Spitfire deposit out in with Cameco and Orano. We did hit a mineralization. We did better understand what was controlling it, what direction it was going to, and we had that model so that when we did step out, we knew what we were looking for, and we in fact found a lot more of it as we moved out in that direction. But it was because we understood how it was forming and what it was going to look like when we got there, which made it a lot easier.
Yeah, so let's sort of, as we wrap up here, let's bring it back to your company and what's going on at Dorado. Talk to me a little bit about how what you've talked to us in the past, in the the last 4 or 5 minutes, really has taken shape on what you're doing.
Sure. Well, we back in the fall, we made a discovery on Dorado. It's a rather big project. It's part of a huge package that we put together with ISOEnergy. We were testing a variety of priority target areas, and it was at what we're calling the Nova area. The Nova zone is where we made this discovery, and we were hitting high-grade uranium in the very specific area. We drilled 4 holes there. Because of the ground conditions, we couldn't continue on short of sinking a drill into the muck. And so we've been up there this winter again following up on it. But, again, if you look at the maps that we had put out, the sections and the plan maps, you'll see that we had these 4 holes. We were able to line them up and follow them in a direction. So, as we're out there now following up on this, we're certainly going to be doing what I just said. We're going to be drilling around the area where the mineralization occurred. We're going to be doing big step outs to determine the controls and see if we can chase the structures out and really come up with a plan as to what that next phase of drilling is going to look like after this.
Yeah, it really is truly fascinating with modern geology and also the work that's being done with boots on the ground in the field as well. It's exciting for sure, and look forward to hearing more about that when the time is right. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you,
really
Steve.
Good insight into this. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, Chris Frostad, he's the CEO of Purepoint Uranium Group.
The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, an offer, or a solicitation to buy or sell any securities. Viewers should conduct their own research and consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Proactive Group Holdings, trading as Proactive Investors or its affiliates. No responsibility is accepted for any loss arising from reliance on the information presented.